Hi guys, it has been a hot minute since I did this last, and it's I'm sorry, I'm really sorry about that. I did have all these big plans for what I wanted to do on my YouTube channel, and I did Vlogtober, and then I did start a project where I was filming basically stories from my life. I've been through a lot in my life, and I thought I wanted to share all of that, and I had the idea that I was going to do what's it called, Vlogmas as well. But as many of you probably know, that did not happen. I did film Vlogtober all the way through the entire month, and I did start doing the other project of oh, I'm sorry, I got something in my of doing some stories from my life. But the thing is, it just got too close to home for me. I didn't feel comfortable sharing all these things, and I was very quickly getting into some really hard things to talk about. And also, I did have a really rough year last year. 2019 was not good for me. It was a year of, I think now, in hindsight, I think I suffered from depression that I didn't know that I had. And I guess that's why I did want to revisit all those old things and kind of just talk about them again, but not feeling well, it was too much. And then, so I stopped doing that, and I unpublished the videos that I had already posted. And I was intending to do Vlogmas anyway, because it's you know, it's an easy, upbeat, fun kind of thing to do, and so I was totally intending to do that. But then at the end of November, someone close to me passed away totally unexpectedly, and I was thrown for a loop for weeks. It wasn't until January this year that I started to feel, I don't know, started to land from that again, that loss. I did not see that coming. And yeah, so Vlogmas just didn't happen. I wasn't in the right mindset to do that, to engage in that, and Christmas was coming up. I wasn't feeling good yet, but I was struggling. I was trying to, you know, get my bearings and make a lovely Christmas, which I did. We did have a amazing Christmas. And well, Christmas, the entire family was home. All the kids were home with me this Christmas. Me and their dad, the younger two kids. I have 3 kids. My younger 2 kids have every other Christmas with me and every other with their dad, and last year was my Christmas. So everybody was home, and we were just hanging out, spending time together, and having a lovely Christmas. And then there was New Year's, and then my youngest turned 14 just a couple of days after New Year's. And, you know, so life was just happening. And something that also happened was I've been sort of unemployed. No, I haven't been sort of unemployed. I have been unemployed since November 2018. And this is a first for me. I've never been unemployed before in my entire life, basically. I think the longest I've been unemployed before that has been a couple of weeks, maybe, tops. I've always been working, and I also have my own small business doing things, and so which I have had also during all of 2019. But my business was more of I haven't been making a lot of money from it. It has been more of an expensive hobby, you could say. So it wasn't something that I was able to live off from to any extent anyway during 2019. And not having an income, I sort of fell between all laws and rules and everything, and just I couldn't get like unemployment, money from unemployment, which you often do in Sweden. I couldn't get that because, well, long story. So I had nothing. I didn't have any income. And not having any income also meant that I couldn't promote the business that I already had. I couldn't stock up on things like I do hand-dyed yarns, and I couldn't stock up on yarns to dye, to try to sell, and so on and so forth. So it was kind of a downward spiral in many ways last year. And I'm also, what has been my daytime job for many years now is in physical security. And the thing is, my title was I was a physical security specialist, which is more like almost a mid-level management kind of thing, and they don't get that title in Sweden. I applied for all kinds of physical security jobs. The one I had that I left in the summer of 2018, I left because it was so far away from home. I was commuting like 3 to 4 hours every day, working 10 to 12 hours, and then I was on call 24 hours a day, 50% of the time, and there were only 2 of us sharing the on-calls, which meant that you were on call yourself for 50% of, 24/7, and the other 50% you would be backup for the other person who was on call. So I was working constantly. And I also crashed and burned miserably that year, but that's another story. But which of course also weighs in on how I've been doing and how I've been feeling. But yeah, so I had to leave that job, and I started applying for jobs closer to where I live to try to have a better work-life balance. And I didn't get anything. I couldn't get an interview. And I was starting to realize, like halfway through 2019, I'm starting to realize that Swedish companies do not, I live in Sweden in case you didn't know, they don't understand what I do. They can't read my resume and understand the training I had, the work I've been doing, and even though I explained you always have to do a personal letter as well, and even though I explained it, they would often not read those at all. And I didn't even get an interview, which was crazy. So throughout 2019, I had 2 job interviews total, 2 different companies. One in like October, November, and then one in late November. That was it for the entire year. And this is something that has never happened to me before. And something that also adds into all of this is that ageism is a thing in Sweden for real. So I kind of I started to feel that I had all the odds stacked up against me in this. I had crashed the previous year, like I had totally burnt out. I couldn't continue working there. I had to get a new job. I couldn't get any unemployment. I don't know what you call that. I didn't have any money. I didn't get to go to interviews. I didn't get a new job. I couldn't get my own business off the ground. I suffered from depression, apparently. And there was also some really hard things happening in my personal life in the beginning of the year, which I'm not going to get into. And then at the end of the year, I lost this. It was my aunt, but she was, for all intents and purposes, my mother as well. And she passed away completely unexpectedly, and it was rough. It was a rough year. So what I decided to do when Christmas was coming up and I had been without a job for more than a year, I decided I was just simply going to retire from physical security because it was driving me crazy. I didn't get an interview anywhere. I just, I had to let that go. Unfortunately, because I was really good at what I did, but that's what happened. So I decided that New Year's Eve I was going to retire completely from physical security, and start over doing something else. So Christmas was approaching, and I was contemplating what I wanted to do with my life, what I was going to aim for, what I was going to become of me when I grew up. And I landed in a couple of different options. First of all, living in Sweden, there's a lot of not good things happening in Sweden nowadays. But one good thing that we do have is that our education system is free, which means I could go back to university and have a whole new education that I didn't have to pay for and become something completely different. And one of the options that I came up with was being a radiographer, working at a hospital doing x-rays and stuff like that. And this is something that I was considering a lot when I was like 15, 16 and trying to decide what to become when I grew up. So it's something that I was interested in, and I was looking at the catalog of all the different educations available at the university closest to me, Uppsala University, where I have my previous education from as well. And it just felt like, yeah, I could do that. I would love to do that. For a day job. I would also, what I wish I could do is, I wish I could support myself as a creative person, as a writer. I've always been told by professionals that I should be writing, but my issue is I've had to bootstrap my way through life for the past 15 years in a manner that has, well, it's led to me having troubles writing now. I have trouble, the stories are there, the inspiration is mostly there, but as soon as I sit down and try to work on projects, I have a hard time finishing them. Not because due to lack of discipline or anything like that, it's more a matter of I have to work hard to make everything work in my life, and which is to a large extent due to my second marriage and things that happened there, which is a whole different story. Let's just we'll leave that. So anyway, that's what I wish I could do. Do just all these creative things and write books and so on. And I will be doing that as well, but I have to do it as something on the side because I can't, I have to eat along the way as well. So I need a daytime job. And radiography is one of those options that I feel would be a lot of fun to do. And another option was becoming a hairdresser. I've been cutting hair and dyeing hair on myself and my family for years and years. And as a young teenager, I did work a bit extra at my aunt's hair salon, the same aunt that passed away in late November. Which, of course, her passing away also made me feel like it somehow made sense to possibly take that route in life. And it also ticked a very important box for me, which is being self-employed. So I was landing in those two alternatives over Christmas, trying to decide what to become. The problem was that becoming a hairdresser is, if you go to school for that, I would have to pay for that myself, because the education, it is possible to get that education paid as well in Sweden. It's just that when the education that I already have is at a higher level, which means the municipality is not going to pay for another education at a lower level. So I would have to pay for that myself. And obviously I can't do that. I haven't had any income for more than a year. So once I had that, I did talk to the municipality about that, and I got told eventually that they wouldn't pay for that. I was left with radiography. So that has been my plan for these first couple of months this year, that I'm going to study radiography starting this fall. I'm pretty confident that I will have a spot on that education. The problem is, since I have a lot of education from before, I have to work my way through the whole thing. And here's where it gets hard, or, well, I'm a bit concerned. I need to work at least half time, 50% of the time, to survive during full-time studies for 3 years. But the thing is, I did have a crash and burn less than 2 years ago, or about 2 years ago. I had a bout of depression all through last year, which it's not completely gone, absolutely not. It's present still, even though I'm doing a lot better now. And in addition to that, the types of job that I could apply for that would make sense and where I even have a chance to get it, considering my age and the amount of education and experience that I already have, is very hard for me to get say more like a simple job, something that doesn't require a lot of education, because I'm competing with 20-year-olds who cost like half the amount to employ compared to what I do. So I need to apply for jobs where my age and experience is a plus for me. And so I have applied for a lot of jobs. I don't know the English word for this, but you know, you work at taking care of older people, and yeah, at the lowest level, because they usually require experience and education for that as well. But being my age and having, you know, I've had kids and so on, I could just, you know, I didn't have anything to lose, so I applied for that. So I did that. Late January I applied for a whole bunch of jobs. I think I applied for like 36 jobs within a week and a half. And the response has been overwhelming. I have been to, in less than 2 weeks, I have had 6 interviews, been offered 3 jobs, started working at one of them, and, you know, things are happening. It's just that, you know, I did have that crash and burn, I did have that depression, so even though I've been homebound a lot, I'm still feeling tired and exhausted and all that. And in addition to that, I'm also an introvert, which I usually refer to myself as a highly functional introvert, because I can be very social and you know, like that, and people usually take me for being an extrovert, which I'm not. So every time I have to interact with other people and you know, like that, I need to rest afterwards. I need to recover, and that takes a lot of time as well. So if you add that as well onto well, all the other things, and also I've been having issues with insomnia, not to forget. Since August last year I've had 4 or 5 bouts of insomnia as well, like real insomnia, not just not having trouble sleeping, but real insomnia. So after these, you know, last 2 or 3 weeks where everything has been just suddenly happening, and I've been on all of these interviews, and I've been meeting people, and I feel exhausted. I feel completely, utterly exhausted, and at this point I have only worked 1 shift. 1. So right now I'm kind of concerned about how I'm going to do this, where I'm going to find the energy for it, and I guess part of me is wishing for a miracle where I could just get my own business up and running and have that as a side thing while working my way through my studies, or maybe even have success with my own business in a way where it allows me to do just that, which is what I'm dreaming of doing long term. I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. I'm a bit exhausted. I'm a bit tired. I have all these things I want to do, and I want. Oh, also, one of the reasons that I am choosing radiography is because it was important to me to. I mean, I'm 47 years old. I turned 47 in January. It is important for me to have a job where I will have an income, where I can work pretty much anywhere in the entire country. I can totally choose that. Oh, sorry. And also, I want a job or an education that allows for me to leave Scandinavia, which is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I don't know. I've lived in Sweden for almost 30 years. I lived in Norway for 20 years prior to that. I'm ready to do something different. I'm ready to experience new cultures, meet new people, settle down somewhere else. I have been looking at Los Angeles. I don't want to be an actor, and nothing like that. But the climate, and I don't know. I do love watching movies, so. And it feels like a creative melting pot that would be interesting to hopefully take part of. So, that's a possibility, and maybe I could work as a radiographer at the same time. There's a lot of different excuse me, a lot of different places that I would absolutely consider going to and living, and possibly living for the rest of my life, or at least for the next 20 or 30 years. So that was a big part of choosing an education that would allow for that, and also to allow for a decent income. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to find a way through all of this, trying to decide what to do, trying to figure out how to survive financially through the coming years, because I cannot continue the way I have. And I do wish I could do only my creative stuff, but that's not an option right now. Although I do have an idea or a thought. My relationship with YouTube, with my YouTube channel, has been kind of a off and on again kind of thing, and I haven't really found my true format. And what I've been doing mostly is the knitting podcast, which it's okay, it's nice, I like it, but it doesn't feel like my kind of thing. I want to do more than that. I want to do different things. And when I did the Vlogtober last year, I did one of the episodes was about how to hand dye the autumn colored yarn that I make. And I got a lot of very positive feedback from that. Several people tried to do that, and they would tag me in their Instagram posts, and it was a lot of fun. And I really, really enjoyed that. So I'm thinking about doing more things like that, showing how I dye my yarns, how I make my knitting patterns, and things like that. And I'm also considering doing I have a Patreon page that I have sort of been working on off and on for, I don't know, a year and a half. Just never finished it. And I was thinking maybe I could use that instead of trying. If you're going to work with hand-dyed yarns and try to make money off of that, it takes a lot of time. It's very expensive. A lot of people can't afford to buy that, and so on. So I was having this idea that maybe I could do like a Patreon thing, and I could give tips on where you could buy yarn for dyeing, where you could buy the dyes, and show how I do it when I do dye my yarns, and kind of just teach people how to do this themselves and make their own beautiful hand-dyed yarns at a much lower cost than what it takes to buy it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't support makers who make, because there's a lot of people out there who make beautiful yarns and project bags and all that, but we can't all afford that all the time, and maybe once a year we could buy that. But maybe you still want to have something special, something that no one else has, and I'd love to inspire someone to make their own yarns, or to dye their own yarns and do their own projects, and to dare to adventure into making your own patterns, or I don't know, all those things. And I was thinking, if I did that on Patreon, I could have like a tier for, actually I think I would just have one tier where you could have access to all those things. You could have I could have lotteries, you know, or just like people could win the yarns that I make when I do the videos, or I don't know. It's something I've been contemplating doing. Just teaching how to do things like that. I could teach writing as well, because I do have training in that also, even though I have a hard time writing a whole book myself. Life tends to happen in between for me. I don't have much of a support system. Let's put it like that. I don't have much of a support system, so everything is on me all the time, and you know, kids have been going through a rough time, and I just haven't had the opportunity to just sit down and write, but I will. But I still have a lot of knowledge. I've been working with the authors and helping them with their manuscripts and stuff, and I could do things like that as well, maybe. Or just creative stuff in general, I don't know. So, we'll see. Anyway, I just wanted to update you on what's going on. I just recently discovered that I'm still getting views on my channel, even though I haven't posted anything for months. And I was really feeling bad that I haven't been doing that. So I thought I would just do a completely impromptu vlog like this and just say hi, I'm still around, just been going through a hard time, stuff has been happening, things are changing, I am replotting my life, trying to make new stuff happen, make good stuff happen, and we'll take it from there. So I'm going to attempt to make videos a bit more frequently. I am going to, maybe I could do like a monthly vlog or something, just to, you know, say hi and so on. And yeah, I guess I just need to sit down and figure out what my format is going to be. But right now I do feel inspired to just to build a channel around showing how you can do, you know, dye yarns. These are my hand-dyed yarns, for example. How you make pillows, or you know, whatever. I think I'd much prefer that to just having a knitting podcast in example. So I'm going to look into that and see what I can do and see if I can get something going here. I'm going to look into the Patreon thing and see if I can get something going there for you guys. And yeah, I hope you'll stay tuned and keep an eye out. Oh, sorry. Keep an eye out for my future videos, and let's see what we can make of this. Oh, and by all means, if you have anything, any ideas or anything that I've done previously that you particularly liked and would like me to do again or continue working on, please let me know. By all means, I am totally open to all kinds of suggestions. Well, most kinds. So, with that said, I am going to get on to some laundry, I think. It's a big pile. Screw my name over there. So I'm going to go do that, and I'm going to edit this and post it, and I'm hoping it's not too long. I'm sorry about that. Been away a long time. Lots of stuff to tell. I'll try to get back on a regular schedule as soon as possible. So I'll see you next time. Bye.